Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to 90 Day Fiancé latest news. Few names stand above the others in the volatile realm of reality television, where love, conflict, and drama are packaged and marketed to an audience ready for spectacle. Names that become as famous as they are unforgettable are few. And the name Leida Margaretha leaves on viewers' hearts and brains will never be one of subdued memory. She came to 90 Day Fiancé in search of conventional love, not to discover love. No, she came to establish control, to dominate the story, to carve out a position for herself in a new universe she would change to meet her values. Her narrative never followed love. It never concerned a woman yearning for a storybook ending in romance. It revolved on authority. It was about rewriting the rules, about building a new world in which she carried the pen. And following her deeds, the planet she left behind was one of devastation, broken bonds, and severe psychological scars. Leida started her trip not with a basic visa or a love spark. It started with a vision, one of her queen controlling her new life in the United States, a place she felt she could transcend the conditions of her past. She was a woman who thought her position, money, and beauty would protect her from the facts of life. And it was evident from the beginning that Eric Rosenbrook, a man with a modest background and a history of personal difficulties, was her project rather than merely her boyfriend. Leida came in Eric's little Wisconsin apartment with the quiet, strong assurance of someone who has never had to make concessions in life. Conversely, Eric was a man whose life had been molded by years of personal loss. He had lived through tragedy and struggle. He was a man seeking a new beginning and a love able to mend his past's wounds. But what he discovered in Leida was a woman who would change his whole life to suit her vision, not the fresh start he had hoped for. Leida's domineering character first became clear right away. The apartment Eric had previously called his home turned become a stage on which Leida's expectations and demands dominated every minute. Once a secure sanctuary, Leida set the rules and Eric, eager to please, accepted them without question, became a battlefield for domination. She made it plain that she designed their relationship and that she would not be content to live with anything less complete control. Viewers only glimpses of the tension simmering the surface while the cameras rolled. The subtle manipulations, the whispered threats, the psychological games Leida ran behind closed doors were invisible to them. Leida knows how to turn Eric's shortcomings against him. She presented herself as the kind, encouraging spouse while wielding the deep-seated fears that tormented him like a weapon, driving him into compliance. But it was a front, one that concealed a far more terrible reality. For Leida, love was never about marriage. It was about authority. Leida's focus on Eric's daughter Tasha started the real disintegration. The emotional terrain changed permanently when Leida insisted Tasha leave the apartment, even if the relationship between father and daughter had previously been strained. A symbol of the life Eric had led before her, Tasha, a young lady with her own set of challenges, became a threat in Leida's view. She was an impediment, a painful reminder of the man Eric once was, and Leida couldn't stand that. The conflict between Leida and Tasha became rapidly more intense. That was more than just a family argument. Eric's loyalty was under attack, and Leida would not lose this fight. There was obvious emotional sadness as Tasha packed her belongings and departed the apartment. Already delicate, the link between father and daughter started to break irreversibly. Driven between his daughter and his fiancé, Eric lacked the will to confront Leida. Tasha was so deleted from the image and thrown aside as though she were only a hassle. To Leida, it was a triumph. One more step toward her aim of total control over Eric's life. Still, the emotional repercussions was simply starting point. The fissures in Leida's relationship widened along with her increasing control over Eric. Eric started to lose connection with the man he previously was, and his psychological toll became clear. His connection with Leida was more of incarceration than a marriage. But ensnared in her web of control, Eric missed it. The love he thought he had discovered was nothing more than a well-crafted illusion, one created on the manipulation of his most intense emotions and needs. The emotional assault got more severe behind closed doors. Leida's requests got increasingly illogical. Once a guy with hopes and goals of his own, Eric became only a pawn in Leida's game. He was experiencing shockingly high emotional toll. Along with his sense of self, he had lost his daughter and his capacity for autonomous decision-making. He was no more the man Leida had known before she entered his life. Lost in a relationship once seeming as a chance at love, but now a nightmare, he was a shell of his former self. And in the middle of all this the planet watched. Though the cameras only recorded bits of the reality, those who watched saw what was happening. They noted the manipulation. They observed the control. They came to a man rendered incapable of freedom. They also came into a woman who thought she could get away with anything. Leida's deception didn't stop with Eric and Tasha, though. It went much beyond their personal relationship. Leida was adept in leveraging her beauty, charm, and influence to shape others around her. She understood how to play the victim when it fit her, how to threaten and subjugate people with her riches and position. She also didn't hesitate to utilize the legal system to vanish others when her way was denied. Leida had been using her contacts to silence anyone who dared to confront her, filing restraining orders, threatening lawsuits, and systematically using the legal system to her benefit for years. She was not merely engaged in gameplay. She was rewriting the guidelines, and in her head nobody could stop her. She felt she was unbeatable, impenetrable above criticism. But as usually happens, the truth started to catch up with her. Leida's life would be irreversibly altered by a sequence of events that followed. Underlying it all, the whispers got louder. Once close to her, relatives, friends, even ex-husbands started to come forward with accounts of emotional abuse, intimidation, and manipulation. They talked of a woman who felt the rules didn't apply to her, and who used her beauty and appeal to achieve what she desired. The legal obstacles mounted alongside the facts. Once thought to be untouchable, Leida was now engaged in a struggle she could not win. Originally a weapon she had used to control others, the legal system was now working against her. Her painstakingly built walls around herself started to fall apart. Once perfect and immaculate, her image was broken. Once captivated by her appeal, the public now recognized her for what she really was. A woman who had used and thrown aside people around by without second thought. The courtroom turned into the last front line. Leida Margaretha stood before the judge, a cold awareness replacing her previously unwavering assurance. She had beyond her pushing range. She had crossed boundaries not easily reversible. And the weight of her deeds came down as the charges, harassment, obstruction of justice, malicious prosecution, were read aloud. Eric knew there was no atonement. There was no grand comeback. He had disappeared from public view and turned silent. Once so eager to satisfy Leida, the man who had sacrificed all for her, was now a ghost. His quiet said a lot. Had he too late seen the truth? Had he at last come to see he had been a pawn in Leida's game all through? And how about Tasha? The daughter who had been thrown away so readily, the forgotten one. From Leida's merciless demands, what wounds had been left on her heart? A young woman thrown out of her father's life had suffered trauma. She was a woman who would never know the link they had. Leida's story is terrible not just in terms of the legal repercussions she currently deals with, but also in terms of the people whose life she destroyed along the road. It is the tale of a woman who, at last, lost all since she thought she could rule everything. No one, no matter how strong or charming, can outrun the lifelong results of their deeds. And Leida's collapse bears evidence to that truth. Justice eventually does not benefit the strong. It includes the truth, and the truth is always revealing. Leida Margaretha's kingdom collapsed. The question yet remains, will she ever be able to reconstruct what she wrecked, or will she be left to live with the reality of the woman she has become as the results of her activities show? This gossip is over. If you liked the video, then give your opinion in the comment box and stay with us by subscribing the channel. Thank you.